Whether we realise it or not, we are at war. We're not fighting with bullets, planes or tanks. We're fighting with pounds, euros and dollars. The cost of economic sanctions on Russia, which are necessary, are a cost to us too. Russia is an energy superpower, which provides the West with billions of pounds worth of oil, gas and coal. Of course, it's our bizarre and ruinous green policies that have led to the West's dependence on Russia's natural resources. But we are where we are. It's like that old Irish joke when someone asks an Irishman directions and he says, well, I wouldn't start from here if I were you. Whilst there is a strong humanitarian case for policing a no-fly zone over Ukraine, and it's not an easy decision, sparking World War III just isn't an option right now. Which is why I'm sympathetic to the White House's decision not to accept Poland's transfer of 28 fighter planes to the US, which would be handed over to the Ukrainians. Why? Because this could be perceived as a provocation and it could produce a global conflict by the back door. World War III by default. For now, the place to hit Putin is in his wallet. But it comes at a price, one we will all pay. If we sink our teeth into the Russian bear, some claw marks will be left on our own skin. An economic war with Russia is our least bad option. It's a conflict in which we hand over our livelihoods, not our lives. The West needs to stand up to Putin by crushing his business model, depriving him of oil and gas revenue, and working towards energy independence and strategically decoupling from despots of his ilk. However, it's easier said than done. No pain, no gain. The West, depriving itself of Putin's energy, places unprecedented pressure on supplies. Our industries are still largely based around fossil fuels, whether we like it or not. And with this action, with these sanctions, we're making it harder for us to get our hands on the stuff. So that will fuel inflation, of course it will, which many fear will hit 10% by Christmas. That's right, 10% by Christmas. And we will see household energy bills rise well beyond the 55% we are already expecting in April. It doesn't have to be this way, of course. We have 5 decades worth of shale gas beneath our feet, a clean fuel which has seen the great nation of the United States become energy independent in recent years. They can afford tough sanctions against Russia without wrecking their economy and impacting hard-working Americans. If we had adopted the sensible green policy of pursuing renewables, absolutely, let's go green, I do want to decarbonise, we should at the same time have been using the great resources of shale, coal and oil on our own shores. We should have gone for a mix. Scientifically debatable green ideology, which saw Angela Merkel dump nuclear energy in Germany, and green ideology as championed by a depressed vegan teenager in Greta Thunberg, there she is, has shaped Western energy policy. So how's that working out for you? We've learnt the hard way. Go woke, no smoke. So this economic war, which we have no choice but to wage, will hurt ordinary Brits. Which is why our pathetic and expensive overreaction to the pandemic is such a national scandal and, in my view, a crime against the British people. How useful do you think the £500 billion we spaffed away on our pandemic overreaction would be right now? Imagine if we had £500 billion with which to boost our military spending so we can flex our muscles against the bully Putin and other international bad actors. £500 billion to rapidly explore our oil and gas reserves. £500 billion with which to subsidise the nation's energy bills, particularly for the poorest in our society and pensioners. It gives me no pleasure to tell you that I've pointed all of this out over the last 2 years, and I haven't stopped saying this comment ever since. I've lost friends over the last couple of years, but they clearly weren't my friends in the first place. But this has been my message since the beginning of the pandemic. How can shutting down a nation's economy on and off for 2 years to the tune of £500 billion possibly be justified to stop a virus mild for most? And stop it, of course, is something we failed to do anyway. For a year and a half, I've been saying that we haven't borrowed money on this scale since German bombs rained over London. I've been saying endlessly that we cannot justify borrowing billions on behalf of future generations. Why? Because, and I quote, they will have their own crises to deal with. A future pandemic, potentially a worse one. A future natural disaster. Or, God forbid, a future war. My words on the national broadcast airwaves. It's all on the record. And here we are. We are at war, and we've used up all our ammunition before a shot has been fired. Well done, everyone. So it's time for an immediate push for fracking to make sure that we drill for oil in the North Sea. And I suggest we hit our coal reserves pretty damn hard too. Dig, baby, dig. We have enriched Putin for too long now and made ourselves dependent on this ruthless monster, as a result of which the free world faces its greatest peril since 1938. It's very simple, folks. Energy security is national security. Drill, baby, drill.